Hi everybody, Dr. Susan here. Hope you guys are doing amazing. We're at week 4, if I'm right. This topic today, this is one I really wish we were in person and we were able to talk to each other. So my goal is for future classes to be in person where we can actually all bounce off ideas off of each other, because the topic today is diet variation. So many of you who are on this video have been my patients for a very long time. Some up to 5-6 years have been my patients, and I always say, if weight loss stops, you have to vary it up. And a lot of people always ask me, well, what does that mean? So that's a little bit what I'm going to go over today, and I'm going to go more into it next week. It's like a 2-part series, this 1 week topic, because it's so vast. So I just want to jump into it. I'm not sure where everybody's at as far as blood sugar, if you've been measuring blood sugar, intermittent fasting, all the things we've introduced in weeks 1, 2, and 3, if you've implemented them in. But I will tell you with diet variation why it's important and what happens if you don't do it. We'll go over it. So something very recently that I've been practicing, I guess the last 4 or 5 months, is an extreme diet variation. So you can vary your diet weekly, you could do it monthly, you could do it yearly, you could do it seasonally or quarterly. So I wanted to keep all these things in mind because it's so important. It's not only about a weekly thing. So I'm going to tell you today about what I call the 5-1-1. Some of you may have heard of it already, and if you have, then I recommend you do a 4-2-2. Actually a 4-2-1. I'm sorry, I always get confused with the numbers. But there are 7 days in the week. So we do low carb eating, so that's the 4, and then do 2 feast days and 1 fasting day. So we always want to vary it up. Like I always say, you want to have a feast day, you want to have a fasting day, and then you want to follow a low carb day, just to stay, in control and in order. But you look forward to these feasting days. So you need these feasting days very, very much for hormone balance. So I want to talk about that, especially in women. If your weight loss has stalled, a week, 5 to 7 days before your cycle starts. So number 1, I say always track your cycle. And I'm 50 years old. I didn't track my cycle until I was probably about 48 and started doing diet variation, because it's really important for you to know where your cycle's at. So many people go on to low carb eating, they lose weight, they're really excited about that, but then they all of a sudden their cycles are late and not losing weight anymore. So kind of hormone imbalance halts and stops. You had a great effect at first, but now it's halting. Well, that's the time when it's time to vary it up. So you want to track your cycle on day, like I said, about 5 days to 7 days before the cycle. You'll notice you start to get naturally hungry and crave things. Many of us crave chocolate. It's like a known phenomenon that happens with women, like you crave food or you crave chocolate or you crave something prior to your cycle, and that's for a reason, because your body's calling for more insulin. It's looking for the insulin spike. So it's very important that you honor your body, you give it that insulin spike, and eat those foods and eat more foods. It's not the time to be fasting. It's not the time to be doing strict keto. So this is where many women fail. They follow strict keto, like I said, because it worked for them really well. So they just keto on, on and on and on and on, and they never stop. But it will stop working for them eventually. And the important thing is you have to add in this diet variation. This is the thing that many people are lacking. You won't read about this on keto sites, definitely not paleo sites. It's a diet variation. But if you think back to our ancestors, they ate in variation, because in the springtime or summertime, really, springtime was like the planting time and summertime was the harvest time, when all the fruits and vegetables were at their peak. Vegetable gardens were bursting with fresh vegetables, and they were growing fruits, and they can gather berries, and that's the time when they eat those things, higher carbohydrates. They're still healthy foods, just a higher carb time. So it's really important that you pay attention to your body, especially during your cycles for women, because when you get hungry, you have to pay attention. Or if you just can't fast, you're struggling so much, it's because your body is really calling for those foods, because they need a rise in insulin. So that we've been working really hard on lowering insulin levels through the first 3 weeks, but this week I have to talk to you about after a certain amount of time, you can do it for a few months, but after a certain amount of time, you have to add in the variation. You have to. So what I usually recommend to people is to do the 5-1-1, honestly, before I do the 4-2-1. But the 5-1-1, where 5 days they will do keto or low carb, 1 day of feasting, and that could be, I'd say if you're counting carbs and or macros, at least 100 to 150 grams of net carbs. So it's eating healthy foods, but things we wouldn't normally eat. So like now we would want you to eat russet potatoes, fruits, tropical fruits, bananas, pineapple, melons. Even if you've been craving, like say a gluten-free dessert or something, and you want at this time to have a little bit of sugar, now's the time to do it because you need that insulin spike. Be able to do the hormone conversions that have to happen for your menstrual cycle to go about successfully. So this is a very, very important topic. Diet variation, it's so important. People get scared. I see this all the time. People are having a lot of success, like I said, in low carb eating. They're just melting away, and they don't want to, when you tell them it's time to add a feast day, they don't want to do it. They're scared. It's nothing to be scared of. We're balancing your weight loss hormones. That's what we're doing. But we have to kind of shock your system a little bit to keep those hormones flowing and doing all the conversions they need to do, and keep the messages between the cells flowing. So I promise you, if you've had a stall in weight loss, if you're 40 years old or older, I would say right away do 2 feast days. Do 2 feast days, then do the rest low carb days, and still do 1 fasting day. So it's definitely going to be hard to do a fasting day right after a feast day, just because like I always tell you, if you start eating eating carbohydrates, not even anything bad, no, we still want nothing processed. We want no dairy. We do not want gluten. We don't want processed food. But even healthy carbs, if you eat them. So like I recommend, like now's the time. If you're craving pizza, get a cauliflower pizza, gluten-free pizza, have the potatoes, just things that you might have been craving all month long. This is the week to plan to have those things. This is the feasting week. So it actually gets really nice because it keeps you stricter the rest of the month. You make sure you follow low carb and follow your fasting days. But then the 5 to 7 days before your cycle, you allow yourself to feast. You snap back into low carb eating the day your cycle starts or the day after. It differs for everybody, but if it is the day your cycle starts, some people that day will not be hungry at all. So I always just say honor your body. Some people start that cycle and they're starving that whole week. Just honor your body, kind of let it flow through. It'll regulate itself over time. This might be new to some of you, so just be patient. And this is a lifestyle. This is the way we want to eat always. So this isn't a diet. We're not on a diet. This class is not about dieting. It's about teaching you the best way to manage your weight. So back in the beginning, I said, now I've been doing this now since 2016, about 4 years. And just to be honest, probably around, about 2018, 19, probably the end of 2018 into 19 is the best way to describe it. I was on it for maybe almost 3 years, and I started gaining weight around the middle. And it's because I was so strict keto for that time, and a lot of healing went on my body. I don't really regret any of it. Tons of healing. I was able to manage my weight really easily. It was awesome. Thinnest I'd ever been in my life. But I kind of came when I started adding the feasting in. My cycles normalized because they got a little wonky for a while, but my cycles then did normalize as I added the feasting in. Like I said, doing the low carb for such a long time, I started to gain weight. I lost that weight. Like once I added the feasting in, my weight broke. So you just need those shocks to your system. Now I follow a variation plan. I don't do 5-1-1 anymore or even 4-2-1. I do a seasonal variation. So in spring, summer, actually just ended November 1st. It went all the way through end of October. You eat higher carbs. And then come November, December, January, I think even February, wintertime, it's more of a fasting season. So you do more fasting, you do more intermittent fasting, you do more 1 meal a day fasting, you do more 38 hours, 36 hours. It depends where you are in your fasting life. And I'll do videos about that too because it's so important. But you have to kind of like, that's why I say flex your fasting muscle and get used to fasting. You can't just jump in and do a 5-day water fast. Although when I did do my 5-day water fast in past times, that's when my greatest healing came, and it becomes such an easy thing to do. It's actually such a relief. And people will tell you that when you're fasting, you'll get incredible energy, incredible mental clarity. It's the best time. Like if I have a project due or if I have to work really hard, I fast because that's when my brain is working the best. It works best on ketones. So that's the information. It's a little bit advanced information, but I know some of you, like I said, have been around for a while. And I have many people doing fasting, but I think they still don't quite understand the variation. So I wanted to explain it more to you, so that you understand the reason for it. To understand that it will break a plateau if you're at a plateau. It's just good to vary it. So like I said, my variation now is I do the seasonal eating, so I do seasonal variations. So I don't do it anymore weekly or by my cycle or monthly. So like I said, it can be done weekly, it can be done monthly, it can be done quarterly, it can be done by seasons. And if you want any more information on any of this, please, like I always say, just email me or call the office. We'd be happy to send it to you. There's a book I recommend, 3-Season Eating. That explains more about the 3-season eating. So if you've done keto for a while, if you've done fasting for a while, if you've done varying for a while, like I said, a lot of you have been here a long time, try this 3-season eating. We're now going into a fasting time, and it's coming up on the holidays, so this is a perfect time. And that's how I usually balance holiday eating, is that I will enjoy it on the day. The day of the holiday is my feast day. So we sent out a recipe book on feasting in the holidays with a lot of recipes that you can enjoy, so you can have a feast day on the holiday day. So you don't suffer on holidays. You're not on a diet. You have to learn to work this into your lifestyle, and it's something you always continually do. So we never want to go back to eating the junk or the inflammatory fats or the gluten, like I said before, or dairy. That's not what we're looking to do. You can look for these recipes and things and then make them and look forward to your feasting week if you're a woman, that week before your cycle. Save those recipes for that week and have them then. So that keeps you from picking and snacking through the week, because the idea of this whole thing is to deplete sugar stores in your body. And once you do that, you don't want to go back, you know what I mean, and have to deplete those storages again of glycogen and sugar in your body. So when you eat this way, you just wait for that week before your cycle. So if you're craving something, you just say, oh, I'm going to get that the week before. Or if it's a gluten-free dessert, do it the week before. Just plan for it. Cauliflower pizza, like I said, russet potatoes, different tropical fruits or melons or whatever it is that you're craving. Now is the time to do it. And enjoy it for that week. Know it might be a little hard. Come getting back to a low carb eating or fasting, because you have to mentally snap back into it and get right back. But after you do that multiple times, it really becomes easy, and your body speaks to you more when the cravings, they're natural cravings the week before your cycle. So you will notice them. I remember early on, around day 15, 16 of my cycle, I'd start be starving. I couldn't fast anymore. I didn't understand what was going on. But then when I researched it more, I was like, oh, this is actually a natural occurrence in the female body, that your body will make you hungry or crave the chocolate or the food to make you eat more food, again, to raise the insulin levels back up so that you can do the hormone conversions that have to do with your cycle. So many people don't realize that, and they stay on keto forever and ever, but you'll notice some of these keto gurus, they lost a ton of weight in the beginning, like maybe the first year or so, but then they just never lost weight again. They still have a significant amount of weight to lose because they never put the variation in. The variation is so important. So I welcome any emails and questions about this. It's really a topic it's all encompassing. Like I said, I'll probably break it into next week too, because there's still a ton of stuff I didn't talk about, but I want to kind of give it to you a little at a time because it is that important, and I just don't want to overwhelm you with information. But the science is there. You can look that up. You can look, this actually was discovered by Dr. Pompa visiting the Hunza tribe in Africa when he went there to visit, because they ate seasonally, or they ate, they fasted and they feasted, so it's like the one meal a day, but if they did it according to season, he noticed that diet variation really changes a lot in you. And usually everything he has studied is because it happened for him and his patients. And there's always like a big group study around it. And he's been so successful in honing this all down. And, you know, it's amazing. So we just follow along and do it the way he says it. But that's the way to do it. So I just wanted to share it with you today. Again, I want to tell you, please email any questions. Today's kind of a quick video because, like I said, I want to spoon feed it a little bit. So there may be an extra video in there about diet variation because it's so important and it's so big. It's such a vast topic and people have a hard time making the connection from going from low carb and fasting and restricting your eating. So again, I want to remind you to create an eating window, and then in that window, that's when you'll be eating. And then you fast for the rest of the day, the intermittent fasting. So you're still doing that. So you're not throwing that all out the window. You're still doing it, but you're just doing it differently for this 1 week. If you're a woman, that's a variation within the month. But weekly, like I should say on a weekend day, do it like on a Saturday or Sunday when you're with your family most. And you want to go out for breakfast. So you don't want to skip breakfast and you don't want to really maybe have an eating window that day. You want to have just a day where I want to relax today. I want to pay attention to my eating window. I want to just go have breakfast or lunch or dinner with my family. And that's the feast day. So you pick that. It doesn't matter what day it is. If you're doing 2 days, it doesn't matter what days they are. You just have to pick 2 days. So it's really simple and it's really custom to what works for you and, you know, in your body and with your family. For most of my patients, though, I have to say it's usually Saturday is the feast day because, like I said, they're enjoying, you know, time out with their family, or they're going to a, you know, some event, or something's happening where they don't want to be restricted in their eating. Still want you to eat healthy, but you don't have to count anything or be careful for anything or worry about your eating window. Every other day of the week, you do want to pay attention to your eating window. You do want to pay attention to the carbohydrates you're eating. You do want to eliminate grains and sugar. You do want to do that the rest of the week. But that's the variation where you get this 1 day or 2 days or a week before your cycle where you don't pay attention. You just take a break and you just eat. So I think it's wonderful. It works wonderful. So notice the scale. Notice how your clothes fit. So if you start doing this, give me feedback. Notice the changes that happen to you because you might be at a point where you're stuck or you've been stuck. And I may have told you vary it up, but you might not have quite understood what I meant by that. And like I said, we'll talk more about it next week, okay? So send me your questions. I'm here for you to answer them. I hope you're all doing amazing. I've enjoyed all the feedback I've gotten so far. So I'm looking forward to hearing more and just to be able to make this even a better class the next time, okay? So I hope you have a great day.